And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone, episode number 38. I hope to be more visible this week than last week. I am Spitz. I was in the dark for most of the show. A lot of people think I'm in the dark all the time.
I know we listen or watch ourselves, after the fact. I couldn't stop watching it because there was that third block that was empty. I was like, I don't know. It just caught my attention for whatever reason. That was funny though. That's what's going to happen sometimes. But I think the content was just as good with the one block not being there. But I would say that I said he's probably more comfortable this way anyway. He's done radio for about 96 years, so he's used to not being the guy on the TV.
96 years. Thank you very much. I'll have you know I will be 60. I will be 60 on Wednesday. Okay.
In media years, that's you age quicker. Okay. It's like dog years, but you age more with working in the media.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Okay. All right. The 941 Sports Zone is always brought to you by the very good folks at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. They're locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257 is the number. 941-251-4257. Big thanks to Assistant Athletic Director and Head Golf Coach over at Lemon Bay, Sean Huber, for joining us last week. Lively discussion on a bunch of topics, and we'll hit a couple of those topics again this week. Lots going on in the sports world, both in the 941 and also up in the 727 and points everywhere else. When it comes to the NBA and NHL playoffs, we have a major coming up in golf this week, and I finally figured out how to say Aronimink Golf Club in Newtown Square, just outside of Philadelphia.
It's the mink part of the Aronimink, because you want to say you want to say ick, not ink.
Yeah,
that's kind of I was calling it Aronimink. It's Aronimink.
They haven't played a major there in 64 years. So I guess the first question I would have, and we'll ask it down the road, is why? How did they choose it? I mean, I guess Philadelphia. Did they figure that both the Flyers and 76ers were going to get swept out of the playoffs, so Philadelphia needed something else to focus on?
So I think that's a very healthy argument to have about why they would pick these golf courses. My opinion is this, Rich, and we won't go too deep into it. I think that the regular golf fan is not so much enamored anymore with the scraped earth look to some of the golf courses that they run these majors on. Well, because everybody thought for years, we're going to have to get to 8,000 yards before we can make these courses be more competitive, or you don't have a plus 14, a minus 14 winning, you got a minus 6 winning. Okay.
Right.
But that's not the case in my opinion. You don't have to make them bigger. You just got to make them. You got to learn how to trick them up, but make them make shots. It's okay to have a 410-yard par 4 if you've got to go around the dog leg, or you got some trees, or whatever it may be.
Yep.
The short par 4 is the new thing. The short par 4. Hey, can you drive it? This past weekend there was a short par 4 where they were hitting 3-wood into a 320+ yard par 4. Those are cool holes because now you got guys that they can test their skill, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 525-yard par 4s. It doesn't make any sense. So I think that's some of the, hey, let's go back to some of these other golf courses that have been major championship courses, and let's just see if we can't make the rough a little higher, let the tree grow a little more after you know how many years it's going to be before you get to have the tournament there. So I think it's there, and I think the guy who watches golf on a regular basis appreciates that as a way of instead of having it be where you just stand there and you blast and you play on hard fairways and whatnot.
Right. And weather could be a factor. It looks like we're going to have all different kinds of weather, because I know here in the Northeast, it's summer one day and then it's right back to early spring. And apparently we're going to hit a little bit of everything. There's supposed to be a day also where there's some precipitation possible. So it'll be a lot of fun. And we'll talk about that tournament and some of the ramifications down the road here later on in the show. We're going to start locally in the 941 with the FHSAA baseball playoffs. And we're down to the Final Four, and John Massoni did it again. His lock of the week was Venice and Charlotte advancing to the Final Four. Venice got there no problem. They didn't even give up a run against Winter Haven in 2 games. Charlotte had to battle a little more. They actually had to play a 3rd game, but they ended up winning theirs as well at home. So both teams are into the state Final Four. Congratulations to both. You mentioned you were at the game Friday night, so you got to see Carter Cox pitch. And it's very interesting, because I talked to you earlier today as we were preparing, and it's best of 3 regional semifinals and regional finals. However, you get to the state baseball tournament, it's back to the one and done format. So you only get to see Carter Cox 1 time, and that'll probably be in the state semifinals against Vero Beach. But your thoughts on Venice winning and what you saw on Friday night?
So Venice there are no weaknesses on the team. You've got to play a really good, solid baseball game to beat Venice. Mm-hmm. You'll be at the game and you'll say, okay, it's a very pedestrian first 2 innings of the game, maybe a hit here or there. Then all of a sudden it'll be a bobbled ball by a fielder for the other team. Venice gets a man on base. They advance the runner. Next thing you know, somebody gets a base hit. It's a 1-0 lead. And once it's a 1-0 lead and Cox on the mound,
it's over. It's over.
Guys, you can kind of feel it, and then Venice sort of takes they take a deep breath, and off they go. And somebody 1 through 9 in the batting order, they all can hit it. They all can hit it with power. There's no, I just said, there's no, nobody that will come to the plate and you're like, wow, look at this guy. Look at how they are solid athletes, solid baseball players. And when 1 through 9 and every position out in the field is that solid, it is hard to win. One thing I will say, Rich, even regarding my pick for last week, the best 2 out of 3 really favors the home team.
Sure
favors the home team, because you got to spend the night if you're Winter Haven. You know what I'm saying? You got to come back the next day. And win or lose, and you got to play. It's possible of playing 2 that day. It's a lot. And I think that's why I was kind of feeling pretty secure with the idea that Venice and Charlotte would advance to the semifinals. Now it goes back to the old format where, hey, you know what? These teams that are coming up, they all got somebody, man, that can throw that baseball. And so if you get into a pitcher's duel and somebody's on their game that night, no matter how many wins you have and how highly you're ranked, that's a great equalizer. To me, a strong starting pitcher at any level is no different than a goaltender standing on his head in hockey. Similar kind of, because that they can really control a game or a single elimination kind of scenario. So now it gets it'll get a little different. But been there, done that for Venice. But they've been around. The coaching staff has been. They understand the format. They understand what it requires to do that. Sometimes weather can be a factor this time of the year. Some rain is looking at on the weekend possibly, so that could affect it. And if you've been down this road, as Venice has, I think it's a very distinct advantage. Absolutely,
and then. Also, you got to look at how deep their pitching staff is. I mean, they threw back-to-back shutouts, and the team they were playing, I believe it was Winter Haven.
Winter Haven,
they're no slouch. I mean, this is a team that made the regional finals, and you throw back-to-back shutouts. That's pretty impressive. That tells you how deep you really are.
Well, when Jeff Fulcher was on a couple weeks ago, he basically gave us the scouting report on the five guys that are in their rotation, and the 5th guy was a freshman throwing in the low 90s. So when that's your 5th guy, you've got one heck of a staff to throw out there. So I think that'll be an advantage. Now, the only thing I can say to that, Rich, is that there's probably been a couple guys who haven't really pitched in a couple of weeks that had any type of meaning to it, so to speak. And so we'll see if they get into a bit of a pickle. Will those guys be ready? I say yes, but obviously that can be something to think about.
And then Charlotte, as I mentioned, they played Freedom, who was a 7 seed. Won 1-0 the first night, lost the first game on Saturday, and had to come back and win to win the regional championship. And again, there you go, the advantage.
Yeah.
You have to play 2 games. They're both at your home park. And in game 3, you're the home team. And I think that's an advantage as well. You know, they go back and forth. Game 1, you're the home team. Game 2, you're the visitor. So certainly all the advantages are for the home team, and good job by Charlotte to get the job done as well.
When we finish tonight, I just thought of something. I'm going to look something up and see how many of the top seeds won the region, because of with that 2 out of 3 scenario, or at least the home teams,
right?
Coming, how many teams that got there, and then they hosted and they won. I'll be interested to see how that works out. Again, the FHSAA is always tinkering with their formats.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's, and I'll say this with no worry of any retribution, a lot of times they make decisions based on dollars and cents. Sometimes they do it because the right team or people complain about it and they change it. I wouldn't say there's a tried and true formula for all this, but it'd be interesting to see how if this really is something that really favors the so-called home team.
So Venice will play Vero Beach this coming Friday at 5 p.m. at Hammond Stadium down in Fort Myers. So they just moved. They stay in Fort Myers, but they just moved venues. It's been at JetBlue for the last few years, but now it moves over to Hammond Stadium. Charlotte will play Winter Springs, but that doesn't happen until next Monday at 4 p.m. If Venice were to win, they'll play Saturday at 5. And if Charlotte wins, they'll play Tuesday at 4. So they do play back-to-back days. So that's the way I guess they keep the continuity. So good luck to both Venice and Charlotte, and let's bring home a couple of state championships to the 941. That would be very, very cool.
And I'm wearing a Venice shirt tonight, so because I'm representing for that baseball team. It's been a little bit for them. They before, since they've won a title, and they are looking like a juggernaut at this point. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, the 941 Sports Zone presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. Let's go to the softball brackets. They're behind. They just started the regionals last week, and let's give it up to Venice. They were down 9-2 at home to Plant City, rallied and won it in the final inning 10-9. They beat the Raiders to advance to the semifinals, where they'll meet top seed Eastridge Tuesday at 7. Venice, the 4 seed. Tremendous comeback. I don't care where you're playing. You're playing on Mars. You're down 9-2. It'd be very easy to lick the stamp and mail it in, but good job by the Lady Indians getting the job done. I'll tell you what, there is something to be said about championship pedigree and also, school pride. When you put on that green uniform, I truly believe there is something to it.
There is. I think you're right. I had an interesting point of view for that game, Rich. Thursday night was the green and white end of spring season for Venice High School football. I was asked to go to the press box and make some announcements and do whatever. Well, if you've been at Venice High School, the home side press box looks directly into the softball field. So I was watching the game. No, I don't know what's going on, but I can see a lot of happy people on the first base side, which is the away side. And I'm thinking, oh man, this doesn't look good. I made an announcement. Everybody go over to the softball field and root on the girls. They're over there playing right now. And next thing you know, I had another thing to get to. And I wake up the next morning and I see a 10-9 come from behind win, 3-run homer at the end of the game to win it. Coach Constantino, Steve, I've known Steve for a while. He's him and I run in the same circles for business wise. And to hear him say that he was more excited, or he was as excited as anybody out there, it's good to see when your coach can let go and really engage and enjoy with his team. Big win for them, and now it's a chance to to move on, like just like with the baseball team.
Yep, no question about it. So they'll take on top seed Eastridge. That'll be Tuesday, tomorrow, actually. If we're recording this on Monday, so Tuesday at 7 p.m. Sarasota also won their game. They're the second seed. They had Sumner 1-0, and they'll host Newsom Tuesday at 7. So the 941 well represented in Class 7A, as it seems like, especially in baseball and softball, both Venice and Sarasota made it into the tournament on both the baseball and softball side. In 5A, Charlotte, unfortunately, lost at home to Gulf Coast 4-2, so their season is over. In 3A, Lemon Bay, who was the 5th seed but was the home team because they won their district, beat Tampa Robinson 11-5 to move on to the regional semifinals. Well, they'll play a juggernaut, top-seeded and highly ranked McKeel Academy. That'll be taking place on Tuesday at 7 p.m. And in 2A, Cardinal Mooney, their season came to an end at rival Tampa Catholic by the count of 12-2. So good job by Lemon Bay getting the win. Very tough ask Tuesday night with McKeel Academy. They are a machine, as they like to say.
Yeah.
So, all right, so there you go. There's your baseball. There's your softball. We'll keep our eyes on all of it. And good luck to all of our area teams. Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida bringing you this in every episode of the 941 Sports Zone. 941-251-4257 is that phone number to remember, 941-251-4257, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. They have national backing, even though they are locally owned, and that's always a big thing, especially in the roofing business. They're on top of things. See what I did there?
Listen, everything I've heard over the past year or so, they're doing a lot of good work, and I know a lot of people in the building industry, and they are well thought of. So glad to have them as a partner all this year.
We'll keep it with the ball and stick. How about your Tampa Bay Rays? Your first place Tampa Bay Rays. Listen, I'm as shocked as anyone else. I mean, everybody, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, picked them to be last. Got out of the gate kind of tough, had to play all the teams in the NL Central. And last time I checked, all the NL Central is above 500, John. So, they took their lumps. They lost 2 out of 3 in every series. However, against the American League, I think they've only lost 2 games, 2 or 3 games altogether. They take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. The Saturday game was rained out. Shocked. And they are 26-13, playing .667 ball. And I know it's early, John, but if you're trying to get a stadium and you want to bring some excitement to the ballpark, the Rays are doing that.
Yes, I agree. And by the way, how many guys are injured right now? I mean,
quite a few.
They've got quite a few guys that are injured, and they're doing this. All praise to Kevin Cash.
Yep.
Okay. I think I might have mentioned a couple weeks ago that I was a Joe Madden fan. I thought that Joe Madden
I was too.
offered the Rays an opportunity to keep him around with a hometown discount. He loves the area. He's got restaurants, whatever he was doing at the time. And they said no. And I thought they're never going to find another guy. That's the diamond in the rough. Now you're going to go through 10 managers before he won just like him. Well, they only had to take one more chance. And they got Kevin Cash, and he's been nothing but, I think, over the last how many years he's been the manager now. I think since he's been the manager, he's been the best manager consistently year by year after year. And working that formula that the old regime had, I'm sure they're working something similar with this regime as well. And they stay consistent. They are probably, I would bet you again, let me do a little homework this week, that they're probably the most consistent team over those years as well. I bet you if you said, what the winning percentage for the Rays have been over the last 7 or 8 years, it's got to be comparable to anything that anybody else in that division has done, because they've all taken turns be at the bottom for a while,
Right.
And unpredictably, you don't know what's going to happen. The Yankees have been a little probably the steadiest as well as the Rays, but the rest of them just kind of do this up and down stuff.
Well, there was a stat, John. I'm going to back you up here. There was a stat going into last year, and I'm not sure where it is now, but I remember this was something that was bandied about a lot. Going into last year, the Rays had the fourth best record over the past decade. Only the Dodgers, Yankees, and Cardinals had a better record. Think about that. With that payroll. With
right.
that.
And that's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. I said, I knew that the Yankees have had a consistent run. Obviously, the Dodgers, nobody can touch them at this point. They're the shining star in the league. But you saw the Rays. They're always around the playoffs. They're always around. The biggest thing with the Rays, and they could be even. Who knows where they could be if they ever really made a gigantic investment at the trade deadline. Who knows where they could be? They don't. Right. They don't go out there and go get two guys and throw a bunch of money at them. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody else who's in the race to get to the playoffs, that's what they do. The Rays usually say, "Oh, we'll hold we're not going to sell anybody." That's their big thank you to the fans. Hey, you know what? We're not going to quit on you, even though we're going to keep it status quo. But here we go. But again, we should expect this. And maybe we should predict them to be, a 95 win team every year or whatever it may be. And then see at this rate, you'd be right more than you would be wrong. That's for sure.
Yep. Oh, no question about it. And listen, their over under was like 78.5 or something like that.
Yeah, no. This was a very like down year. Nobody had a lot of high hopes.
Transition year back into the Trop. Played outside last year. And I think as it turned out, maybe, playing in that heat all the time. And they had no rainouts, John. They had a couple of games where they had long delays, but unbelievably no rainouts. So they're playing in that heat every single day. And I think it took a toll on them. Being back in the Trop, I think is going to help them as we get into the dog days of summer, if you will.
Well, you see my nickname or my middle name for today is Who Turned Up the Heat?
Yeah.
Today was mid-July in the humidity. Low temperature was 81 this morning with that dew point at 75. And you just go out there and I'm getting older, Rich. I got to admit it. I could go out there and be 8 hours in that weather and come home, take a shower, and off you go to do the next thing. But boy, you've got to really, really now with for me, this humidity and it wears you down. And it's only May. We're not even close to being anywhere else. Talk to me in September. We'll see how that goes. So anyways, that's it's going to be interesting to see, again, how the Rays perform. You're right. I think the two things came of last year being out in the sun. One, I think it solidified the fact that there's no way you can survive as a baseball team playing outside in Tampa Bay. So whatever the stadium outlook's going to look like, it's got to be something with some sort of cover on it. Yeah. The people that hate the Trop, I get it. It's cavernous. It's got no personality, but it's got a roof on the damn place. And that makes it a lot easier than going out there than trying to worry about a lightning bolt or a bunch of rain pouring on you or the heat itself or bugs, whatever it may be. So those kind of things definitely will, I think the new ownership, they got a snoot full of potentially what could happen if they had to play outside, and they just won't. And then the other part of it is that, you as a player, I think if the Rays were played outside, they'd get nobody want to play here. You know what I'm saying? I think no matter what the tax breaks or whatever it may be, it would be a hard sell to have a guys come in here and play 81 games in our heat. It wouldn't work very well.
It's funny too, because in Chicago, remember the Cubs used to all play all day games. And, even though it's Chicago, a lot of people, got worn down in Chicago. Yeah. It's not even here. So there's something to be said for playing a whole bunch of day games in this heat. And certainly the Rays are a little better for it. They are in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays this week before they head home for the weekend. And if you're in the Tampa Bay area, give them a look. Come on. Yeah. They're actually, I was looking at something. They're actually, I think 11th or 12th in attendance so far in baseball, which is amazing.
Well, I think it's because, again, people said, okay, we're back. We appreciate the air conditioning, whatever they thought. it's definitely something. There's definitely something to that. And another way, don't forget, economically, right now we're dealing with high gas prices. I get that.
Oh.
But a baseball game is not an expensive proposition compared to other sports. Like, let's say, the FIFA prices for World Cup soccer. Oh my God.
Yeah. Here in Boston, it's nuts. Really nuts.
If I cared a lot about soccer, it might be that might have been what's bugging me. It's actually it's not even bugging me. It's got me astonished and actually almost laughing about it, because could you imagine, again, this is off the track here, but could you imagine that people say, no, I'm not paying $1,100 to watch a soccer game.
Right.
And they have a, I don't know, quarterfinal match with a third of the capacity filled up in some mammoth stadium in Chicago or in LA or wherever they're going to end up
Miami, New York. Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Another story, I guess.
All right. So there's your baseball outlook. Rays first place, a game ahead of the Yankees, 2 up in the loss column. Who would have thunk it? And the Yankees are, up until the Milwaukee series, have been playing lights out baseball themselves. So certainly, hats off again to the folks in St. Petersburg. Let's get it right.
Yes.
Episode 38 of the 941 Sports Zone, presented as always by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned, nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. Hurricane season starts June 1st. If you got any problems with the roof, let's get them fixed now. 941-251-4257. 941-251-4257. NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing about back to Mighty Dog a little bit. A lot of people may get complacent because they say the strongest El Nino in
150 years. Yeah.
And supposed to have cut down on some of the hurricanes. Well, when the average is 14, 7, and 3, and they say, well, it's El Nino, and then the prediction is 13, 6, and 2.
Right.
That's a big difference.
It only takes one.
El Nino is going to be a lot stronger than that. And yes, and that El Nino, the way of going is that's west to east, not east to west.
Right.
On the west coast of Florida, we don't like east to west to east,
right.
because that's how those hurricanes get pushed. Milton was the last one that hit us, and Milton rode that a front and right up like it was on a conveyor belt right to the west coast of Florida. So don't take it for granted. Don't read too much into it. Just keep your eyes on it, and just how hard is it to be prepared? Get some water, get some batteries. If you got a generator, make sure it's running right. It's not hard. It really isn't. And all that stuff you get is not going to go bad if you buy it now. So go out there and get ready now.
All right, NBA playoffs. Speaking of hot, the New York Knicks are hot. They have won 7 in a row. Many of those games have been over at the end of the first quarter, Sunday notwithstanding. They opened up a big can on Philadelphia in front of Madison Square Garden South. I was watching that game. I thought they were pretty obnoxious on Friday night. The prime announcers talking about all the Knicks fans that, made the trek down I-95 to Philadelphia. Mike Breen and the gang, they have no second. That's all they talked about, because basically the game was over in the second quarter, first of all. And second of all, listen, all the Philadelphia fans apparently paid for their season tickets for next year. A problem we normally have here in Tampa. Normally Philly comes here and takes things over. So they got a little bit of a taste of how the other half lives. But on the court, there's no question. Philly left it all out there against Boston. They had nothing left. They had one decent game in the series. Game 2, they had a chance to win against the Knicks. The Knicks were able to win that game, I believe, by single digits. They went to Philly and won 2 games rather easily. I think the first one was 18 and the one on Sunday was 30. And they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they await the winner of Detroit and Cleveland. If you're a Knicks fan, I'm sure you're rooting for the Cavaliers because you remember what Detroit did to you in the regular season.
Right.
But then again, I remind you, it's the regular season, and the Knicks are a completely different team now.
You're right. And when we had Matt Geller on, I kind of said I didn't really wasn't quite sold on Detroit at this point. So I think Cleveland, even though you don't think the Harden Donovan Mitchell tandem, I think that's a tough out for Detroit. We'll see. They got some young guys. They got good athletes playing basketball. That's the thing. I don't see Tobias Harris is like their most polished guy on the court, other than Cade Cunningham. And I look at Cleveland. I think they got a little more depth when it comes to on the basketball side of things. Myself, I think whoever wins Detroit, Cleveland, the Knicks are going to take care of them in 6 at the most. I think they are the best team in the East. I thought Boston was, but obviously Philly got them. There's a little bit of dysfunction. I know you're right there, Rich. You're smack in the middle of it. And the Celtics mean a lot to that fan base. And so I think that the Celtics they got a little soul searching to do in the offseason, but they did not play like the second best team in the conference. And the Knicks have played by the best team that I've seen a Knicks team in my first memory of sports, Rich. My first memory of sports was the 1970 New York Knicks.
There you go, champions.
Absolutely. My dad was never a big sports fan, but he, for whatever reason, my dad was not the guy to sort of give into certain things. But somehow or another, when I was a young kid, I must have been very persuasive. I wanted to watch sports all the time. And I remember being in our basement and watching the Knicks. And I remember my dad, he loved the Knicks. I mean, he whatever it was about them. Even my mom was not being a sports person. But I remember watching the Knicks, Dave DeBusch or Burl Bradley. And then you had
Earl Monroe, Walt Frazier.
Walt Frazier. You remember all these guys. And, man, it was exciting. And, boy, the Garden was just like – it was like pandemonium in the Garden. It was crazy. And we're now looking at the second best teams or the best team since then. I know Ewing was good. I know Ewing did a lot, but this team has got some real. They're putting unprecedented points. They've been over 140 in the playoffs twice. Even back in the days of Bird and Magic, they weren't scoring 140. Right. And no matter how many threes you throw up there, you got to make them to get 140. So it's something else to watch. And what I hope doesn't happen is that they sit at home for the next couple of days or maybe a week or whatever it may be, and you get a little rusty. You're just you're killing it on all cylinders right now. So that'd be the only thing I would worry about if I was a Knicks. But I think the Knicks, my opinion now is they're a lock to win the East, and I think they're probably going to play OKC because they look like the same team that the Knicks are in the East and in the West. They look the same team.
Yeah, they are dispatching of the Lakers. They can finish them off as we record on Monday night. They can finish them off later tonight. I don't see any reason why they won't. I know Luka hasn't played, and I know a lot of Laker fans are moaning. So you lose in 5 instead of 4. There's no way you're beating OKC. It's a bad matchup for the Lakers to begin with, and the Lakers have played their hearts out. They've actually led in all 3 games in the first half, but the second half they've been just dump trucked in that series, and I fully expect OKC to finish it off. I don't want to spend too much time on that series because the other series in the West is extremely compelling and got more so last night when San Antonio was looking to go up 3-1 against Minnesota, and Wemby lost his cool after a foul was not called. He ended up elbowing Naz Reid, flagrant 2, ejection. You're shaking your head, John.
No, I'm just saying. I think that that's a young guy in the playoffs. Minnesota can be a bully on the court. I'm not saying anything crazy. But Wemby's 7'4", they're not going to let him run around and do what he wants. So that's what I don't get. You know what I mean? So to lose your cool over something like that made no sense to me whatsoever. Just absolutely none. And he lost. Let's just say it. He lost the game for them last night. Him not being in the lineup gave Minnesota a distinct advantage at that point. They had to play small. And didn't quite work out for them. So now it's 2-2. And San Antonio it could be in a little trouble. This game 5 is a big deal, a really big deal. Let's see how they come out and play on game 5, because if they lose that one, it's Minnesota, OKC, and then Western Final.
And listen, I know you're not the biggest Anthony Edwards fan, but the guy is doing amazing things on one leg. I mean, 36, 16 in the fourth quarter the other night. They were actually down in the fourth quarter without Wemby. San Antonio, to their credit, never gave up, had a lead in the fourth quarter, and Edwards had to basically take over the game. He has been nothing short of sensational. And again, a lot of people saying that he's basically playing on one leg. I would, once they get eliminated, it's kind of like the hockey. You're going to find out what exactly the injury is.
Right.
But he's doing an amazing job for Minnesota.
He is so talented. That's probably my frustration with him, right? Mm-hmm. You don't get a consistent game from him. You don't the great players, okay? SGA, Brunson. You just kind of go through the guys that are playing. They don't have games or multiple games where they got 12, 6, and 3. You know what I'm saying? Those guys, that guy has to be that guy 85, 90% of the time. He can't take games off. He can't take series off. He can't do it. He's got to inject himself into the game. And that's what champions do. Again, SGA last year, he's the guy. He gets a very quiet 28 on you. You're like, oh, how did he do it? He got a bunch of elbow jumpers or something inside the foul line, a nice drive to the rack, hits a 3. That's what he does. It doesn't have to be. And when you watch what Edwards can be on one leg, you would suspect he wouldn't have these sort of where he disappears. And I think that's
he hasn't this year in the playoffs. That's for sure.
No, and I think that's a good sign. And again, maybe sometimes, like I said, when you're hurt, you play better. You give the effort you need to give. Whatever that may be. Maybe you play a little smarter, not harder. That kind of thing. Who knows? But he's a good boy. He's a good player. There's no doubt about it. He's a great player. He should be at the top of the league. But he seems to. People seem to not. They're a little lukewarm with him when talking about him being one of the best, if not the top 5 guys in the league. Real quick, Rich, one thing I was going to ask you when you were talking earlier about Luka. Mm-hmm. If they said right now, the trade that Dallas made to get rid of, to LA for Luka, who's winning that trade at this point right now?
Dallas.
Yeah.
Because the best ability is availability, and Luka's been hurt a couple times this year. He played, I think, 63 games. He got dispensation to be in the MVP race and in the all-league race because of the birth of his child, which was overseas. But really, he only played 63 of 82 games, and he's not been available in the playoffs. And he's had issues before being available. Did he get himself in better shape this year? Yes, but still, he's missed way too many games. And I think Cooper Flagg proved this year, getting Rookie of the Year, in a very, very close vote with Knipple, his former teammate at Duke, who plays for Charlotte. You know what? I think in the end, and I know their GM got blown out because of the trade, but Dallas certainly looks like you go 2-3 years down the road, I think they're going to get the better of the trade. I think right now it's a coin flip.
So as you're talking to me, I hear you say about Luka is hurt. Luka had a baby. Luka had this. Luka takes time off for a myriad of things every year. It's an ankle injury. It's a toe. It's a finger. I need a break. Whatever it may be. Okay. So he could be in the best shape of his life. And I don't know if you're going to get much more than 63 games out of him. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think therein lies the problem. Who knows how bad what the injury is? We don't really know how bad. It seemed like when it happened, it was like no big deal. He was going to get over it relatively quick, be back for the playoffs, and that's never happened. Look, I can make a comparison too. Victor Hedman for the Lightning, right? Turns out it took a mental break. I appreciate the Lightning caring about him and giving him that opportunity. We don't know specifically what it was, but sometimes guys that there's a lot of things going on. I get that, but to not be available to your teams, and you're a focal point of the defense in Tampa Bay, and as far as the Lakers are concerned, I mean, I know LeBron's the best player, out there right now, and he's an older guy, but you need to have Luka. Otherwise, to me, it feels like a waste of a season. How many more seasons does LeBron have? Not that they're going to win a championship, but
LeBron could be done. LeBron could be done after the play Monday night because there's a lot of talk about him getting moved.
Yeah, no. So I think that's the thing. So to me, it's disappointing to see how it goes that way. But you're right, 100%. I knew you'd see it my way. It's definitely Dallas who's been winning that because they've gotten better with Luka. They've won more regular season games, but to this point, he showed exactly what he was in Dallas, and nothing has changed.
No. By the way, Game 5 of that San Antonio, Minnesota series is Tuesday night in the Alamo City. That is must-see TV. I believe it's on NBC. All right, NHL playoffs. What a interesting scheduling, I'll say it, mistake the NHL made. Carolina completed a 4-game sweep over Philadelphia before Buffalo and Montreal played Game 3 in their series.
Yeah.
That can't happen. No. Carolina, at the least, if Montreal ends up winning in 5, Carolina at the least is going to get 7 days off, probably 9. And if that series goes long, May 20th could be the start. That's 11 days.
Yeah. And in hockey, because of the physicality, that's a huge advantage for Carolina.
Yes.
To be able to get all healed up and bruises taken. I mean, it's unprecedented. Again, could they get rusty? I imagine they would. But, man, I might take a little bit of rust to get healed up because that's like giving you hey, we're going to give you a 2-week vacation so you can go and play the second half of the playoffs. In the NHL, it's the hardest thing to win because the playoffs are so hard. And you get a 2-week vacation? Holy crap. That's what an advantage that'll be for Carolina.
Yeah, they're 8-0 in the playoffs too. Let's put that out there. Anderson, their goalie, who a lot of times in the playoffs comes up small, has been tremendous. They've got more scoring than they've had in years. I know they're making their 3rd conference final, I think, in 4 years, and I want to say 4 and 6. But they're a different team this year. They can put the puck in the net, whereas it seems like they get to the conference finals and a lot of times they run out of gas. Well, for one thing, they're not going to run out of gas because they're going to get quite a long time off. And right. 2, they seem to have more horses this year. And whoever comes out of that Montreal-Buffalo series, and right now Montreal, the last 2 games, has really handed it to Buffalo to the tune of 12-3. Buffalo has to have an answer in Game 4. That actually could be a short series as well.
No doubt. And would you think, coming into the playoffs, Carolina was a little overlooked in regards to how good they're, because they have been good for the last few years. Obviously, they've been playing very well. So this could be a run for them. You're right. I watched a little Montreal and Buffalo. Montreal looks like a much more crisp team.
Just like against the Lightning.
Yes, you're right. They fought hard in the corners. They hustled a little bit more.
They're faster.
And I thought watching them in particular, we always talk about the Lightning making the extra pass. We always talk about fans will complain about that all the time with the Lightning. You had Montreal took that extra pass away from them. You know what I mean? Quick, good penalty kill. Hey, they got it. Their coach has got a pedigree, doesn't he? He knows how to win a cup. He was there.
Yeah, I would say so. Martin St. Louis.
Absolutely. So Montreal, yes, I think that they are looking very good. I like the potential clash of Carolina and Montreal. Wouldn't have thought those teams would match up and it would be an exciting series, but I think it will be. If that's where it goes.
Yeah, no, and I again, Buffalo's going to have to do something different. They really are. Their power play has been terrible in the playoffs. They're running less than 10% right now. They have got to get things. It's funny. I watched a lot of that game Sunday. it looked eerily similar. The Buffalo looked eerily similar to Tampa Bay, especially on the power play. Pass around the perimeter to the corner, shooting from bad angles. It's really funny when your power play gets in a rut, and this is the wrong time of year for your power play to get in a rut, and there's no question about it. And Buffalo got through Boston, but Montreal is a giant step up from Boston.
Right, and I still think that, like you said, I think Montreal has a lot to do with the power play looking a little sloppy for Buffalo because they did it. They did it to Tampa Bay, kept Tampa when they're playing well, they're going to win some games 6-2, 5-1 when they're really playing with speed. No game against Montreal was even close to that. One goal here, two. They played their style of game. They shut down the power play, and now they're doing the same thing in Buffalo. I think Buffalo and Tampa are a lot alike. That's why they were, sort of closely matched in the regular season a little too. I think that they're a lot alike, and Montreal's licking their chops right now. I think they see a chance to maybe end it in 5.
And Montreal with a chance to end Canada's Stanley Cup drought, which goes back to 1993 when the Canadiens won the Cup. Yeah. I won't forget that. They won 16 games because that's how many games you have to win. 10 were in overtime. 10.
That's nuts.
Yeah. 10 out of 11 they were in overtime. You're right. That is absolutely crazy. In the West, Colorado finally tasted defeat, and they've got a little bit of a goaltender situation there. They pulled their goalie in Game 3 in Minnesota. The Wild ran wild 5-1, and now they play Monday night as we speak. Minnesota with a golden opportunity to tie that series. I didn't think that would be a short series. I think a lot of people were, talking, that was going to be, Colorado was going to roll over Minnesota. Minnesota is a very good hockey team, and they got home and they got right. And if Colorado continues to have goaltender issues, Minnesota can win that series.
Well, Minnesota-Dallas, I watched a couple of those, not the entire game, but you can see Minnesota, they have a different gear. Okay. And then when they got hot, they ended up in a boat racing, Dallas at the end there. Colorado is very good. Don't get me wrong. They're very good. But Minnesota, it's an interesting matchup for Colorado. I think Minnesota is probably a better match. That's a pretty evenly matched series right there. At least my opinion on that one from what I've watched. I think it'll be. I think if of all the Colorado's already, they're done already. That series is going to be the one that you want to turn on and watch. That's entertaining hockey. That's pucks in the net. That's back and forth. It's not your 1-0 game. Oh, they're playing 6-5, 9-6 kind of games.
Crazy games. Actually, they've had 3 games, and really none of them have been close. I guess game 2 would be quote unquote close. Yeah, it was 5-2, but I mean 9-6 and 5-1. So game 4 Monday night there. And the other series in the West, Anaheim and Vegas, all squared at 2. Anaheim with those god-awful uniforms, winning 4-3.
It's terrible. Yeah. I still am trying to figure out what color that is. You know what I'm saying? It's like
somebody just spilled some paint and they went, okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's the one when you go to Home Depot and they got the wrong mixed paint you can get for like $5.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the base. They didn't finish the uniform.
And it's not exactly like Vegas's are wonderful uniforms either. That brown and gold.
Very oddly busy looking uniforms. You're not quite sure what you're looking at. Yeah.
No question about it. So game 5 of that series is Tuesday night in Sin City. So the NHL playoffs heating up a little bit. NBA playoffs heating up. Golf is heating up as well. PGA Championship this week. Are you on board with this May PGA Championship? Or I'll tell you right now, I am all for having it in August. I hate the season basically ending with the Open Championship in mid-July. Don't give me this FedEx Cup crap. Okay. Once the last major's done, to me, the golf season is complete unless you're playing Ryder Cup, President's Cup, and even President's Cup.
Right. That was the PGA trying to convince everybody that this playoff system was going to matter. Okay. Right. They tweaked that playoff as much as the FHSAA tweaks all their championships that they do. It's like, well, let's try this year, and you're not going to get an advantage as they did, like you did the last couple of years, and this and that. So, yeah, I don't know, Rich. I mean, it was always like the PGA. It sort of hung its hat on the fact that it wasn't necessarily the hardest golf courses in the world, but you had to play in that heat and a big field, that kind of a thing. Maybe, you're trying to space it out. So like after the Masters, there really was, because you had the Players Championship in early May, like just what happened like last week. I don't know. I understand why they would do it. I don't know if it just sort of, like you said, ends in a sort of an anticlimactic scenario where weekend of July 17th, and really for the better part of the rest of the summer, you're watching a diluted field of guys because they're all getting whittled down and whittled down and whittled down, and then by mid-August you're sort of like, oh, maybe I'll catch it if I want to. It sort of takes away the heart of the end of the season like that. So I'm not sure which way I fall on that one at this point, but I understand the reason why you want to have it back in August.
See, I'm all for the Masters in April, the 5th major in May, the Players,
right?
U.S. Open in June, the Open Championship in July, the PGA in August. That's a nice 5-month, April, May, June, July, August, 5 months.
Right.
And then afterwards, you know what? You still have plenty of time for your FedEx Cup. Okay. If that's what you're going to do, it'll be interesting to see if they change things now that it all but appears that LIV's going to go away. Again, we talked about this, the funding is gone from the PIF. What do they do? It sounds like they're trying to scrape together some financial backing, but I just can't see it. And how long before the PGA? Even last week, Rory said he's not against the guys coming back anymore. I mean, yes, they need to pay a penalty, absolutely, but right. You know what? At this point, just end LIV. Just end it. And I was for, giving them a chance, but it's done.
Right. So my thing is that I think that Rory feels like the battle's over. Okay. Right. There's an inevitability to the death of LIV, whatever that may be, or whatever LIV might turn into if they got some sponsors, but it won't be as a equal to or a competitor to the PGA at all. So Rory maybe taking the foot off the gas a little bit, saying, hey, you know what, maybe there is a path, because probably now he's thinking, well, they're going to come back. I need my Ryder Cup guys to come back. I want Rahm back. I want all the other guys back. So let's do it. You know what I'm saying? But I think there has to be some sort of penance to be paid by these guys that left and took the money and tried to destroy the PGA, in my opinion. My feeling is this: you want to come back? Okay, you can come back. You made all this. You got all this guaranteed money, and I know they've said, "Oh, you're not going to share in the revenue sharing thing they got going with some of the higher players." However they frame that bonus they do for the big guys. I think that, like anything else, I'm going to go Ricky Bobby on you in this one. No more sponsors. You don't get to NASCAR up your shirt and your hats. You know what I'm saying? You're going to come back. You're going to be plain Jane. You're no sponsor. You stole money you took money and you try to ruin it. And why should now you stand in line and try to get the Titleist money or get the tailor-made money or whatever it may be? I know it's a free enterprise system, but there's got to be a way to put these guys back out there. I don't want to paint a big scarlet L on their chest for LIV, but they need to be. Everybody should know what they did, and I think they need to requalify. I think they need to go on the DP's tour or something along those lines,
which they might have to. Yes,
absolutely. But I think there's. What did John Rahm get? I don't even remember. $500 million.
It was a stupid amount of money.
Right.
But here, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to play devil's advocate here. Liv did, in the end, help the PGA Tour and help the players get what they thought they deserved. You got all these signature events, these $20 million, a lot of them are no-cut events, which ironically is kind of what Liv did, except it's 72 holes. I think, and I think they see that now, that, they actually helped out the PGA Tour. They made the PGA Tour find money that apparently was either being hidden, or they went out and got better sponsors or what have you, because all of a sudden you have all these, and John, the schedule here's, and I guess I'll go into this later, but why does there need to be a signature event the week before a major? I don't understand that.
Because they're making them play, because nobody would show up to the Truist, which is a big sponsor, Quail Hollow is a very well thought of golf course.
Sure.
They play majors at the place. So they're just forcing them to play. So there's not this big, hey, who's going to play the Truist? None of them would be there. You might get a couple.
Yeah, but a lot of them didn't play.
So think about what if they didn't make them play. You know what I'm saying? That signature tournament wasn't there. Would have been a big deal. And by the way, a lot of guys they just dialed it. They didn't. There wasn't a great effort. The top of the leaderboard was not.
They didn't even lick the stamp, John. They didn't lick the stamp when they mailed it in.
No, they did not. They did. So it was an interesting deal altogether with that. So yeah, no, I think that that's probably what happened. Go back to Liv. You are right about Liv. Liv did force the PGA to find more money, whatever that was, and they were always in the works. That was definitely the case. However, that was not Liv's intention. They didn't go out there and now, here's what I don't want to have happen, and it'll anger me more towards the Liv guys. If they come back and say they should be thanking us for what we did, bull, you know what? Because you didn't do it for anything except yourselves. Every one of them should say, I took the money, that's why I left. Don't give me this crap about less this, less that, all that. It was nothing about that. You're an indentured servant to the Saudis in that situation. There was never any intention of bolstering the PGA. It was to weaken the PGA so they could come back and be in charge of it. That they were trying to dismantle the PGA.
No question.
So please don't. I don't want to hear Liv guys say, thanks. The first guy to say it will be Phil, guaranteed.
Well, Phil's not coming back to the PGA. He's not coming back to the PGA. Well, he's going to say whatever the heck's on his mind.
Phil will say it, and then Greg Norman will say it as well because he's trying to make himself relevant.
Is Greg Norman still around?
No, he's again. They had to get rid of him because he was an ass. Okay, so Liv got two asses to come around and convince people that this was a good idea, or at least validate what they were doing. And they're the first two guys that just disappeared when all this starts to fall apart, right? They're not even around anymore. So yes, I think that Liv guys should pay a penance. They pay whatever it may be. Monetarily, I guess they got to figure something out. But it should be that there's got to be something where they can play on the tour, but they don't qualify for certain things or whatever the case may be. The majors, they can do nothing about the majors. That was always the case. You're a winner of the Masters, you're coming back forever. That kind of a thing. So you can't do nothing about that. But you definitely can make things a little less comfortable, so to speak, for the Liv guys.
Right. I totally agree. All right. Aronimink Golf Club, PGA Championship. We talked about it earlier in the show, 64 years. Gary Player was the last one to win a major at that golf course. Scotty Scheffler, the defending champ of the PGA. He's got a serious case of second-itis, which – on the one hand, he's not winning tournaments. On the other hand, his bank account is just swelling like crazy. If he ever plays well on a Thursday, look out, folks, because that's basically been his Waterloo this year, getting off to mediocre starts, if you will, somewhere around even or 1 under when somebody else is shooting like 7 or 8 under. Then he makes this incredible charge and another second place check. So I look for him. Justin Spieth trying to complete the career Grand Slam. If he can get a win in this tournament, he's been playing better. We kind of talked about this with Coach Huber a little bit last week. He's a big Justin Spieth fan. Jordan Thomas, those guys. as I heard him called today, which in an interview with Bob Herrig, the Brat Pack. I thought that was kind of a interesting name for them. But there's 154 players in this field. I think it's compelling. I think it's very compelling, and I'll have my eyes on this tournament.
No, this one it's a good one. Okay, there's definitely a lot of times you're going to get a winner because it's a big field. I mean, you think of the Masters, it's very squished down. The Open is also a big field, but man, that golf course is hard. You got to be sharp. I mean, a lot of times with the U.S. Open, you can pick 20 guys that are going to only have people have a chance to win the U.S. Open. And then, of course, you got to play a whole different brand of golf if you're going to play out in Scotland or Ireland or wherever they're playing the Open Championship. So the PGA is always very, very interesting. This is when fantasy golf for me. I make picks. I was going to go for a lock of the week by trying to pick the winner of the PGA, which is such a long shot to pick the winner. There's so many good players,
top 10,
especially in the PGA. In the PGA. So if you say top 10, it's Scotty. You got to pick Scotty. He's going to be top 10. But and there's really no history with anybody at this golf course. So you're not getting guys like, he played well here 20 years ago or 6 years ago or whatever it may be. So it's going to be really you're going to pick the guys that you like that are going to be top 20 guys. But it's always the case in the PGA where it's not a top 20 guy that wins it, or you get a couple of guys that are high, maybe ranked in the top 75 somewhere, that land on the top of the leaderboard first, second, third day, and then if they're in the mix at some point in time. So
or
hard
even wild cards. Even wild cards. John Daly, wild card.
Never know with John Daly.
I'm just saying wild cards in general.
Absolutely. You had who was the other guy? Sort of a very, very big character. He was a guy that played, didn't win a lot, but I can't remember. But it's always been guys that win that you wouldn't expect to win. So that's what got to be careful with that as far as picking a winner is concerned. But no, I say Scotty top 10. I'd say, look, Rory's got a little something going on with him. He's sort of Quail Hollow. He's won 4 times at it, and he really wasn't competitive all weekend. He snuck. They were hoping for him to make a run on Saturday, and he just didn't. I think that Rory, Scotty, maybe Spieth. I mean, everybody wants Spieth to be back, buddy. I'm telling you, I was the biggest Jordan Spieth fan you could ever imagine. I thought he was always the guy that was a lot of fun to watch. Miracle shots and sinking long putts or whatever he would do. He was very entertaining to watch. I just don't know if I could trust him at this point. He'll win one. I'll tell you this. He'll win another major, but it's just not going to be because he's the guy who's just going to boat race everybody. He's going to sneak up on some folks and have a great weekend, and that'll be where he wins it.
Cam Young,
Cam Young's the highest golfer out there right now. So I will tell you this: Cam Young's got to do it more than a month, though. He's had a great month. He's got to do it for more than a month for me to think he's going to be a regular contender at the majors. Got a great game, but he's just a little bit. His problem was between his ears. It seemed like when he wouldn't win. So that's sort of how I look at him. But again, I'll name some names like Sepp Straka. I think there's guys like, I think he's a winner. But I will tell you this: if you want to twist my arm, okay, maybe it's time for Tommy Fleetwood to win one.
Okay.
I think that if you watched him playing the last couple of weeks, he's been on the leaderboard. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the final 3 pairings. Came off a great year last year. He has not disappeared. But he's around. Major championship guy. Tommy Fleetwood's line used to be, what a great round he had. He had 18 pars. You don't win with 18 pars. No. You know what I'm saying?
Unless it's the U.S. Open.
Right. And the problem with him in the Open is that he doesn't have the length. He's a great long iron player and hybrid player, but he's not the guy that's going to go out there and bomb at 360 and then hit a 180-yard 56 wedge and get it close. He's going to play his game. The PGA might be the one that gets him off the schneid, so to speak. So that's what I say. Look for a Tommy Fleetwood kind of guy to maybe come through the field and win his first major.
All right, time to talk NFL because, well, they have something going on every month. And we have the vaunted schedule release on Thursday. Obviously, they're both NFL Network and ESPN 2-hour presentations, blah, blah, blah. There's been some leaks, and there'll be some more. But some interesting games have been leaked. I don't know if you've heard, John.
Yes, Dallas and Giants on the Sunday Night Football.
First Sunday night. Dallas and Philadelphia on Thanksgiving. I think that's taken a little bit of a chance. Are the Cowboys going to be that good? Because Philadelphia is coming back to the vengeance.
Long before this, but there's a lot of people jumping on the Cowboy bandwagon right now.
Of course.
They're talking about these draft picks and how great the defense is going to be.
Sure.
I want to see it to believe it.
Right. Exactly. Buffalo opened the new Highmark Stadium week 2 against Detroit on Thursday night. First game of Prime Networks broadcast. That's a juicy little game in Buffalo. Weather will be nice. Lions looking to bounce back from a subpar year, and Buffalo, of course, losing to Denver in the playoffs. I think that's a good lid lifter for the new stadium in Buffalo. So those are a few of the games that have been leaked. Like I said, there'll be more leaks. Wonder what that, one thing about the Eagles, Cowboys, especially if, both teams are good, they'll break the record. They'll have 40 million plus. Right. Because that Thursday game on Thanksgiving, that number's been getting obscene. It was in the high 30s last year, and the Cowboys were only meh. So,
yeah, you're right.
So Eagles, Cowboys, Giants. Shocking that they would release a couple of division games involving the Cowboys. You don't think Jerry had anything to do with that?
Of course, he runs the media side of things. He gets everything he wants. But yeah. I mean, rightfully so. They do bring eyes to the prize. People hate him or they love him, and they're going to watch him one way or the other.
Either way, right? That's exactly, and that's what the NFL says. All right, we're definitely going to put them on.
That's the Yankees, it's the Dodgers, it's the Cowboys. There's just teams. Even
Knicks,
the Steelers as well. That could be that way. There's a lot of teams like that. One thing I will say is, I sort of played around with what's bugging me stuff tonight. This was almost something that was sort of enough to bug me because I know the schedule is more than just who you're playing; it's when you're playing them and all that kind of stuff. But really, I'm a Jets fan. Guess what? They're going to play 6 games in a division. They're going to play Buffalo twice, Miami. They line up with an NFC team, NFC division, whatever the AFC East is going to play the NFC. North or whatever it's going to be. And then you're going to have interconference. You're going to play the AFC West or whatever. So outside of 3 games, you know who you're playing, except you just don't know when and how. So to be excited, to be like, oh, it's going to be.
Yeah, but this is the NFL, man.
But man, this is the one thing that I mean, for them to make a show out of this, they have like documentary with all the different things that in the summer camp and everything else. Everything's a TV show with the NFL.
Correct.
More power to them. I get it. I understand it. But man, there's only so much of that I can get suckered into. It's too much. It's enough. Yeah, I'll find out the schedule when that happens. You know what I mean? Now I will say this too. People like to travel to the games. I get that. As a college football fan, we've already picked our games we want to go to this, the next couple of years, the travel games, because we know that, hey, we want to go back to Oxford to see Ole Miss in Florida again. We wanted to see this or see that. So I get you want to see where you're going to be and what time of the year. Wow, wouldn't it be great? Hey, the Jets are playing the Dolphins in December. Everybody wants to go see that game. It's nice warm weather, right?
If it's in Miami, yeah.
Yeah, I do get that. But to have it be a TV show, whoosh, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. But they know how to do it, and people jump. I'm a football guy through and through. Don't get me wrong, but some things are just enough. You know what I mean? Just enough.
Yeah. Horse racing news. We had Coach Huber on last week talking about Cherie DeVoe from Inglewood, Lemon Bay High School. winning the Kentucky Derby on Golden Tempo. No surprise, Wednesday came out and said that they're not going to run in the Preakness. That's got the horse racing community in an uproar. They drew for the Preakness today, and with hardly any representation from the Derby, 14 horses. It's going to be one of the most interesting Preaknesses that nobody's going to see, because without Golden Tempo, without a shot at the Triple Crown, who's watching Saturday? I mean, I'm a horse racing guy. I'll watch. Right. Horse racing people will watch. And while the Kentucky Derby drew the biggest number they've ever seen, over 19 million, I mean, I've heard so many people say, you know, Golden Tempo's not running in the Preakness. I have zero interest in it. They've got to fix this problem. I know the old stodgy people want to keep it, you know, 2 weeks after the Derby's the Preakness, and then 3 weeks later is the Belmont Stakes. They don't train horses like this anymore. And it's, you know, with all the big races throughout the year, it's easy for these trainers to basically say, you know what, I'm looking for the betterment of the horse. I'm actually looking at the owner who, you know, with each race, you know, the horse's stud fee goes up, you know, with each grade 1 win. So it'll be interesting to see in the next few years if some changes are made. I've heard the first Saturday in May, the Derby, first Saturday in June, the Preakness, 4th of July weekend, the Belmont. I can't come up with anything better. It's a 4-week spread. And if you're not going to run your horse with you know, within 4 weeks and 4 weeks, then you're not really serious about it anyway.
Right. Rich, do me a favor. Do the intro for What's Bugging Me.
Okay, it's time for What's Bugging Me.
So here we go, because this is my What's Bugging Me. Exactly. Golden Tempo not being in the Preakness. Mm-hmm. I understand it. Okay, I get it. The horse is an investment. But the idea is this. Let me ask you this, and this is what I was sort of mulling over. I heard Cherie say that, you know, on the Today Show, that she's proudest of, or maybe on Dan Patrick's show, I might have heard it. Her proudest thing is that her horses are safe, that she's never really pushed the horse too far. She gets it. She wants to do the best interest of the horse, not the paychecks. However, in this case, this is nothing but a paycheck saver. Okay, because they know right now Golden Tempo was not a favorite. Okay, no. Who was the favorite? So there was
Renegade. Renegade, the horse that he beat at the wire, basically was co-checking. There was a bunch of horses that were 5-1.
So a Renegade coming in as a favorite wins the Kentucky Derby, probably races in the Preakness, because in my opinion, they were preparing to play to that horse probably to be a Triple Crown horse. If you're the favorite, you've got to think that there's a chance for that to happen, right? You would say, hey, we win the Kentucky Derby. If we win, we go to the Preakness. If we lose, we go to Belmont. Okay? Maybe that's what, but in this case, that horse wasn't supposed to win. Golden Tempo wasn't supposed to win. So you got the golden ticket. You got something you never thought you were going to get. So what do you say? Nope. The horse is not racing because we're not risking an injury or the horse looking bad in the Preakness. The last memory we have is that horse winning the Kentucky Derby. And if you go out and put to the Belmont, which is not at Belmont, it's not 1.5 miles. It's at Saratoga. Okay, it's a mile.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a mile. It's the same as the Kentucky Derby, right? So if you don't come in fourth, you're still okay with the Kentucky Derby winner. This is all about saving the dollar. I don't have a problem with it, but guess what? The Triple Crown, like you just said, is becoming nothing. It's become an anomaly. It's like something that you really don't, that it doesn't even resonate in making a horse more valuable. It's the Kentucky Derby. That's the whole part of it. If you took the Kentucky Derby out of the Triple Crown and said they're going to do it at Hialeah, okay, and it was the Miami Derby, there would be no Triple Crown to care about. The Derby, the Kentucky Derby, is the pomp and circumstance. It's why, look, think about racing in particular. The first races are usually the Daytona. First race is the biggest race, right?
Right.
500. It's not the first race, but it basically starts the season for the IndyCars is
Right.
Indianapolis, right?
Sorry, St. Petersburg. Yeah.
Yeah, we know that, right? And it's
Yeah.
on Memorial Day. It's a big damn deal, right? All that stuff. So this is what the Kentucky Derby is, and so it's that you win that, and you're Golden Tempo, and you weren't suspected to win that race. I get that they want the horse to be safe, but it's really about protecting the paycheck, the check down the road. And I understand it, but what's going to happen in horse racing? I like your idea of spreading it out a little bit. Okay, now we'll create a whole nother. Well, now it's too far away, and there'll be something that they're gonna.
The traditionalists, and there's a zillion of them in horse racing, will be like, well, it's not really the Triple Crown anymore. Well, you're not having horses. You're back-to-back years. You're having horses, and Sovereignty was the horse of the year last year. Yeah. He ended up being the horse of the year. Won the Derby, won the Belmont, won the Travers, and he ended up being the best horse. And he didn't run in the Preakness, and he didn't run in the Breeders' Cup Classic either. Of course, he got a fever for that. Here's another little-known thing that not a lot of people are talking about, and I'm about to lose my voice. So, excuse me, let me get into this. The race this year, is not at Pimlico because they're renovating Pimlico.
Right.
It's at Laurel Park. Different configuration. How did Golden Tempo win the Derby? Came from last.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stretch run. Churchill Downs has one of the longest stretches in horse racing. Well, because of the configuration of the track at Laurel, the race is going to be run at the same distance, mile and 3/16. But to do that, the horses will finish at the 16th pole, making it a shorter run in the stretch.
There you go.
Shorter run in the stretch. So again, something that I'm sure Golden Tempo's people looked at and said, okay, it's not nearly the stretch. Yep.
They said it. That's what they said. The horse is a late finisher. That
right.
That's where if that race was a little shorter, then they would never won. So yeah, I get it, but I'm also looking at this. My last part is this: is that sometimes you watch something happen, and is this sort of transition into the specialty horses, for these particular these lengths and everything else that they're doing, is it going to be that not the death of horse racing, but is it going to be where horse racing becomes like maybe not the day-long event it is before? Is it? Mm-hmm. Are we losing that? Do we even talk about the Triple Crown anymore? Is that something we need to even get into? I don't know.
Again, I think that's part of the reason why they've got to change the timing. And look, it's 2026, folks. We don't train horses the same way. They're horses that used to run in a race called the Derby Trial on opening day at Churchill Downs. And if the horse won that race, he was in the Kentucky Derby the next week.
Right.
They don't ever dream about doing that stuff anymore. Forget it.
No.
That would be inhumane. It would be, you can't do that to the horses. So, the sport is evolving, and if it's going to be something down the road, they're going to have to make changes. I feel that way strongly.
I agree. And that's the thing. And, in horse racing, the popularity of horse racing has gone way down, obviously, from where we go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever it would be. Sure. It's gone way down. And I don't know if a horse would ever capture, the country's imagination like Secretariat did or whatever.
Correct.
But if there's no chance for that to happen, man, it just sort of takes the air out of the room, so to speak.
Correct. Absolutely.
I think that's the deal. So they're going to have to figure it out. And hopefully they don't just throw their hands up and say, hey, that's the way it is now. I hope that's not the way it is, in this case.
All right.
That's what's bugging me. So you can now you can do your
mine. We'll just have one at the end there. So all right. Or do you want me to do it? I guess to keep continuity, I'll do my what's bugging me, and then we'll do locks last. Locks last. All right. I'll go to my what's bugging me, and I kind of hinted at it a little bit. And I know you fundamentally disagree with me a little bit, I guess, because of I just don't think there needs to be signature events around the majors. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. It forces guys to play, like you said, what kind of field would have been at Quail Hollow? Well, here's a simple solution. Put Quail Hollow somewhere else, okay? Why does it have to be the week before the PGA? Same thing. The RBC, which has been after the Masters forever. When was the last time the RBC wasn't after the Masters? I can't even remember. And I'm old, okay? I think it's too much, and I think they need to look at the schedule. And we talked about this last week. I had a problem with the schedule with Doral. Doral, you got a Florida swing, and then you play the Masters, and then you play the RBC. Oh, let's go back to Miami. Huh? What? Why couldn't you go to Miami when you were going to Orlando, when you were going to the Jacksonville area? Golf. And again, I think these things will get straightened out. I think the new commission will have something to say about it. I really do. And I know this isn't a tremendous what's bugging me, but you know what? It is what's bugging me that, and a lot of people, and listen, they threaten, what was it, a couple of years ago, last year, after when he didn't play in back-to-back signature events, fined him $3 million.
He didn't care.
He found that in the couch cushions, folks. Yeah. Couch cushions. As good a year as he had, that was okay. Here you go. All right, no problem.
So I'll tell you this, as you're talking about it, I'm listening and talk. So really, all this stuff is messed up. The potential to lose the Valspar as a tournament in Tampa, or potentially the one over on the East Coast being lost over there, the Bear Claw, it's really because they stuck the PGA Championship in the middle of May.
Yep.
Because
middle of March.
The PGA Championship I'm thinking
of the fifth major. Sorry.
Because now you added, you took away, you kind of squashed. You didn't take anything away. You just jammed that in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So therein lies, I think, that maybe we are looking at it maybe from a different direction, but the same thing. You've got to fix it a little bit because you don't want to lose tournaments or lose opportunity. You shouldn't have Miami in May. It should have been another time. Right now, you could, because how about this? Doral, if you were going to have Doral when you did, how about Doral feeds right into the TPC, the Players Championship, right?
Yeah.
Because then you have sort of a continuity to that at that point.
But again, you're talking signature event before. Well, I guess it's not a major. Okay.
It's not a major.
So signature. I'm okay with that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And again, maybe this too. Maybe we have too many signature events. You know what I'm saying? You said, we're putting more money into it. I get that. And it's $20 million purses. But how many have we had already? We have like 7 already. We've had a lot of signature events. So we have more. At the end of the day, we're going to have 4 majors, the TPC, 12 signature events or whatever it's going to be. How many regular tournaments do you have? If I'm an average follower of golf, and you say, "Hey, it's the John Deere Classic," and you're like, "Well, who's in it?" Well, nobody, because I don't have to be here. Okay, so who am I watching? I'm watching this guy, and maybe Tony Finau wants to get in there and try to steal a tournament or whatever it may be. So there's a little bit of that too. So maybe we don't have to have so many signature events. Maybe we shouldn't have a May PGA Championship. Maybe they should move the TBC back. Whatever it is, they got to try to figure it out. Weather is always going to be an issue no matter when you do it. I'm not buying the whole August being too hot situation at this point.
Question for you. Stop. Question for you. I apologize. I'm jumping in.
No, you're good.
Do they stop playing in August? Do they stop playing in August?
No.
Then it's not too hot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But they were trying to make up reasons why they had to move the PGA. That they were creating an issue. Now, I think a lot of that might have been in reaction to some players just being disgruntled about something or whoever, or maybe it was just an idea that they wanted to just pump up this playoff scenario where they had these tournaments and whatever it may be. But to me, watching 75 guys trying to get down to the next 30 or 40 or whatever else it is on a golf course in New Jersey doesn't match up to what you would get if you had a PGA Championship at the same time.
Correct. Correct.
So I think there's more to watch as opposed to a limited field event where the guys are just trying to get to make it to the next paycheck. I don't know if that's what's turning on golf fans.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So we went what's bugging me. So now it's time for locks of the week. John, your condition flammable, my friend. Again, you went Venice, Charlotte to get to the state Final Four, which they both did. You're now 21-12. You're telling the people with the VIG, you're telling them to go fry eggs. I mean, I'm all right. 19-14 is nothing to sneeze at, but I'm getting a nosebleed looking up at you. I did say the Knicks would win either in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. I didn't expect to when I first said it, I was like, well, that's one that's probably going to hang out there for a little bit. No, it's over, done, and they did sweep. So yeah, so here we are. I'm 19-14. You're 21-12. Getting a little harder to do locks as we head into the springtime. You were going to head to golf, so I'm going to start with you because I've got to compose myself here.
Okay, so I am going to go with golf. I am going to put myself. I kind of showed my hand a little bit earlier. I am going to pick Tommy Fleetwood. Okay. I'm not going to say I can't. The win is a tough one to pick.
It's hard to be a lock and a win.
I'm going to go top 5. Okay.
Wow, I think that's stepping out there, to be honest.
Tommy Fleetwood top 5 in the PGA. I think he's got the game. I think that he's golfers, when you watch these guys, Spieth won him in a cluster. Justin Thomas got his not in a cluster, but he got a few there. Scotty's in that cluster. Rory was in a cluster until he had to go. He's got his Masters 2 in a row, right? So you see that. Look at Koepka. He won 5 in 3 years or whatever it was. So I think, and there was a buildup with all these guys towards their major championship wins or win or whatever it may be. I think Tommy Fleetwood learned how to win last year. I think he has played very consistently top 10 type golf. I think that he knows that this kind of golf course should suit him, in my opinion. So I will say Tommy Fleetwood, top 5 at the PGA Championship.
If you bet it, you get 4.5 to 1, more than 4.5 to 1, plus 460. That's pretty darn good.
Maybe I'll talk to our buddy Mr. Moneyline and see what he says.
Yeah, Mr. Moneyline. All right, I'm going to do the same as you. I'm going to go top 5. I'm going to go with another guy who's been white hot. And by the way, does his brother owe him or what? Because ever since he got his card, how about a 9th and a 4th? How about that? I mean, he started to play. Good on him too. But I'm going to go Matt Fitzpatrick top 5. How's that?
Yeah, no, I think Matt Fitzpatrick is another guy. He won the U.S. Open, a few years back. He's got
when it was here in Boston.
Yeah, got a very good game. Brookline, right? That's where they played. Was that what?
Brookline, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And he's it's funny. Sometimes you see guys mature, and maturity is not because he's a guy who was running around with his head down or whatever. Maturity is that he is out there and he gets how to win now. He understands it. And so and he doesn't get upset when he doesn't win. He knows the value of the win. So I think he's really going to be a guy that I think, again, I'll use Tommy Fleetwood. I'll use Matt Fitzpatrick. There's a couple of guys that I'm looking at that are going to be very big contenders the next couple of years in these majors. It's going to be very interesting to see. I love Shane Lowry, how he's been playing over the last couple. I think he's sort of grown into it somewhat. So I think he's another guy as well. So we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to say, but I like the Matt Fitzpatrick choice as well. I think he's coming into his own as a golfer, and he's matured as a golfer as well.
All right. And there you have it. Since we did our What's Bugging Me, that'll do it for another edition of the 941 Sports Zone. One more shout out to our Venice and Charlotte in the state baseball tournament. Actually, Charlotte doesn't play until next Monday. So by the time if we do another evening live hit, may very well be we might have a result on that. And of course, Venice is going to play Friday and Saturday. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to play Friday and Saturday. Certainly, they are the top seed, and there's a reason they're the top seed. They are. The pitching is just second to none, like you said. And the great thing about doing the best of three in those two consecutive series, they've got their number 2 starter now, and he has been, I don't want to say as good as Carter has been, but I'll tell you what, pretty darn good. So
anybody who is, I mean, locally, I support all the sports locally. Go out and see everybody play whatever sport it is that you like. Get out there. It's very entertaining. It's top level competition. But in the case of going to see, like I said, I had a buddy in town. He's like, I want to see what the number 1 team in the country looks like. Well, it looks good. It looks really good. So there's no doubt about that. So there's a lot to be said about that. Hey, not to get totally off track, but we are now in spring football. The games are going to be played this week.
Who's Venice's playing? Who's Venice?
Well,
playing?
Venice played only they're playing in a green and white game. No actual game. Coach Peacock decided. He said he rather than spend a week prepping for a game that's sort of exhibition-y, he said I wanted to see what it's like to just have 5 more practices to get better. And that was his quote in the paper. Okay. And I mean, he said it to me, as well. And so I get it. I'm going to try something a little different. Getting his, trying to get that team to gel a little earlier than than usual. But they look good. They look talented. So it should be okay. But I know the rest of the area, they are playing these spring games around. So we'll maybe have a little talk. We can talk a little bit about how some of the teams are progressing. Rich, I'll tell you this. Really looking forward to our media day again this year.
Yes.
Because and I will say this to you. I know you and I talked about it. July 24th is looks like it's the day.
Yep.
And this year we have it every year. Don't get me wrong, but if we get the same turnout we've had the last couple of years, which I fully suspect that's going to happen, there are a lot of big name players coming out of this area that are going to be hopefully available to be interviewed and talk to. We've got 4-star quarterbacks all over, in the area. We've got 4-star wide receivers all over the place. There's receivers everywhere. We've got 3-star running backs for you name it. I'm talking every Manatee, Sarasota, and Charlotte County. There are players all over the place. I said before that the certain areas of the state of Florida get hot. As far as competition concerned, I think the 9-4-1 is as hot as it gets right now.
Yes.
And
agreed.
Based on last year, 5 teams make it to the semifinals last year. Mm-hmm. Cardinal Mooney pulls off another state championship. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Booker's going to get better, and we're not forgetting Bayshore got a little better last year. Manatee came back again. Palmetto is I'm just waiting to kick the glass ceiling on that place. That's going to be good. Kurt Bradley, another year in Southeast. There's coaches, there's players in this area right now, all top notch. And spring football is if you've got a horse in the race as far as baseball is concerned, go on and watch a spring football game this weekend. You'll be happy you did. Also, one other thing, it's sold out, but the Venice High School football team's golf tournament that is become another second event is this weekend. So looking forward to that as well.
Put it on the weekend of the PGA.
Well, wow. There's a lot of listen. Think about this. What could potentially be happening on Saturday at 5?
That's true. State baseball championship game. Yeah, it could be some weekend.
That's what happens when you stack a lot of stuff together, dude. I'm telling you, that's a lot of things, and you got all things going on. But it's a not the worst thing in the world to have to maybe rush down after the golf tournament to watch a potential state championship for the baseball team. So
Well, good luck
We'll
to
see how it all
everybody
works.
involved. Have fun at the golf tournament. Looking for stories on Monday for sure on our next edition of the 941 Sports Zone. For John, who turned up the heat? Masoni? Mother Nature turned up the heat. That's who
Got that
turned it
right.
up. Send some up this way. We have one really nice day. Mother's Day was fantastic. Today was 62 and cloudy. It's just I'm Spitz.
June 1st, you're going to get nice weather.
June, thanks. Really appreciate it. Summer will be half over. Anyway.
And then it'll end just around Labor Day. Then you're done. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, when everybody closes up the pools. They'll open them up in a couple of weeks, Memorial Day. Close them up Labor Day. There we go. All right. We're done. We're out of here. Till next week. Join us. Make it a habit. Like us on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on the artist formerly known as Twitter, now X, Instagram. We're everywhere. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. I'm Spitz. He's John. See ya.
See ya.